Erica, good morning. How you doing? Good morning, good morning. Thanks for the follow, by the way. This coffee's really good today. Got some days I make coffee, I'm like, it could be better. Like other days I'm like, couldn't be any better. Got just the right amount of creamer, just right amount of coffee. Mo, what's going on with you? How you doing today? How you feeling? Thoughts on men who won't leave you alone even after you ask them to. I asked him to block me. He refused. I think you have to block him. I mean, I think unless you plan on filing restraining order, all you can do is block him and don't communicate with him and just avoid him at all costs. Is he physically hurting you? Out of curiosity. Still no business so far. I'm glad to hear that. Went on a date last night. How'd that go? Good morning. Does anyone Uber home? So I have Apple Pay. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally. So, is he only able to abuse you if you two are communicating or if he's reaching out? So I'm having trouble accepting my ex is moving on. Why are you having trouble accepting that? It's out of your control. It's nothing that you can do about the situation. So why are you having trouble accepting that? I don't know if you heard that saying before, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Words can only hurt you if you allow them to. If you believe what that person is saying to be true, therefore, that's the only time the words can actually hurt you. But if you don't believe what they're saying, or you know that their intention is to purposely hurt you and to make you feel like crap, then why continue to accept their words as weapons towards you and allow them to hurt you in ways that you don't have to, because you have control over that? So, like, yeah, you might not be able to. I mean, in this day and age, it's hard to really block people, being real, being honest, because you can make multiple accounts as fast as you can type. So they can reach out on Instagram with 7 different accounts, on Facebook 7 different accounts, TikTok 7 different accounts. So you can't really block somebody to a certain extent, but you can ignore them. You have the power to do that. Like I said, unless it becomes physical to the point where they're showing up where you reside or they're showing up where you work, then you can file a restraining order. But if it's just words, you can control that realm and that dynamic. So you can allow those words to either hurt you or you can ignore them and refuse to give those words power. I'm sorry, my tripod was falling over. You said, what makes a man choose a baddie over a good woman? I think that if you're looking from a woman's perspective, you're identifying what's a good woman and what's a baddie, compared to a man might identify a baddie and a good woman being the same woman. It just depends on what qualities he considers to be a good woman, because some men, they consider a good woman to be a woman who's physically attractive. That's where they are. That's where their bar is. That's what a good woman is, a woman who's just physically attractive. She can treat him like crap, not have a personality, is unable to communicate her feelings and emotions, but as long as she looks good, that's a good woman. You know what I mean? But you can have a woman who's not really built breast and butt wise, but phenomenal personality, is able to communicate what ride or die for this man, and he'll look at her like, I'm going with the woman who just got the BBL because she's a good woman over this woman. So it just, because I feel like, in my personal opinion, it just depends on what that man considers to be a good woman from his perspective. He went as far as emailing me last time around, gave in a response, I regret the same cycle. So if you know it's going to be the same cycle, then, you know, in order to stop the cycle, you have to not be a part of that cycle. So you have to take yourself out of the cycle. The ride stops when you decide to get off of it. But if you continue to stay on the ride, it's going to keep going. And you can't expect to not feel sick, or you can't expect to not be hurt by it, knowing that if you get on it, it's going to hurt. And you still say, well, you know what? I need to reply. They're not trying to hinder you. They're trying to hurt you. And you know that, and you still reply. You are allowing that to happen, because you can also, on the flip side of that, allow yourself to say, you know what? It's time for me to stop this cycle. It's time for me to start replying. It's time for me to stop engaging. And guess what? They can't hurt you if you don't reply. It was good. It was actually with an ex I dated back when I was still kind of immature. Is it a different perspective now that you two are in a different place, out of curiosity? What's the ultimate question to ask your partner to make sure they're the one? I don't believe there's an ultimate question to make sure they're the one. I know for me, I had standards and I had expectations as well as boundaries, right? And I know for me, my standards, part of my standards of the quality of woman that I was looking for was somebody who was trustworthy, someone I can open up to, someone who wanted to be themselves, not be somebody who they thought I wanted them to be, or try to be somebody that they're not. Because I feel like what I mean in that context is people put on masks. Not saying everybody, but some people put on masks. So, you know, when you're with this group of people, you need to be this certain way. When you're with this group of people, you need to act a certain way. When you're with this group of people, you need to act a certain way. And some people can't be themselves or who they genuinely are around every group of people that, or around all the people that they associate with, because they feel like they have to put on a mask in order to be a different person or have a different personality in order to be in that group, or else they won't be accepted if they showed up as just their authentic selves. I wanted somebody who showed up as their authentic self, regardless of what they think other people might think about them, or regardless of how other people might feel about them. I want you for you, not you for who you think I want you to be, or not you for who you think you should be in order to be with me. I want you for you. That means all your flaws that you might be ashamed of, you might be afraid of, all your anxiety, all your depression, all your trauma, because I'm not a perfect human either, and I'm not expecting you to be. I will never ask you to do something that's outside of my scope that I couldn't do for myself. I can't ask you to be somebody who you're not. I want you for you. I want you to show up as your authentic self. That was step number one for me. Two is just being open, being transparent, being honest. Show me who you are. I want to see your personality. I want to understand you. I want to understand where you come from, where you've been, where you plan on going. I want you to be open. I want you to be honest. I don't care if you slept with 20 people. That was the you back then wasn't and isn't the you now. I fell in love with the you now. I'm attracted to the you now, not the you back then. You back then, maybe you were going through something. Maybe you were coping. Maybe you were experiencing things. I don't care to a certain extent. Like, I care because I want to know, but I don't care because I'm going to judge you based off where you were. I'm judge you based off who you are now and where you're going tomorrow and the next day and the next day. There were things for me that I was looking for in a potential partner. It wasn't just one question they needed to answer, and if they answer A, B, and C correctly, then that's my partner. It wasn't that. It was like, I need to get to know you. I need you to get to know me. I need to understand if we're compatible, understand if our lifestyles are compatible, if our goals, hopes, and dreams are aligning with each other. If things were to change, how do we navigate this together? How do we navigate conflict together? How do we handle this together? How do we, are you flexible enough to bend, or do you break under pressure? And a lot of people, they tend to break, and it's easy to be in a relationship with everything's good and everything's great, because anybody can do that. You two are vibing, the intimacy is good, y'all having fun, having sex, and being all the things, all those good things are great. But what happens when it's time to have a serious conversation? What happens when it's time to unpack trauma? What happens when it's time to talk about exes and family and relationships and everything else? People tend to break at that point. They say, oh my God, relationships are too hard. We keep arguing, we keep fighting. Yeah, we're gonna fight, but not each other. We're going to fight for each other for the relationship. And that's what I was looking for in a partner. It wasn't just one question. It was a series of things that I was looking for throughout our entire journey. And that journey could have ended within the first month, or that journey could have ended within the first year. But I need to know who you are. I'm not going to know everything up front. But granted, there are important values that I want to understand that we're on the same page on. So do you want kids? What are your thoughts on marriage? What are your thoughts on a house versus an apartment? Because if you don't want kids and I do want kids, then maybe we're not compatible. If you want marriage and I don't want marriage, then maybe we're not compatible. So those things up front might eliminate a lot of potential partners. But then when we get to the nitty gritty, all that shows throughout time, and as we continue to build a rapport and as we continue to build a relationship, and I won't know those things and you won't know those things about me until we continue to navigate this together and see what this looks like. Thoughts on dealing with a girl who has bipolar and borderline personality disorder. I know for me, speaking from an individual who has bipolar as well as depression, I know for me, it was important for me to understand my bipolar and my depression. What I mean by understand is, I mean educate myself on what that looks like, how I react, what I might need in those moments for myself, what I might expect or want from my partner to help comfort me or to help me work through those things. If I need them to do anything, or if I need them to just give me space, or if I need them to be there for me, to comfort me. It was educating myself so that way I was able to educate my partner and say, hey, this is just me. I didn't volunteer when I was born to say, hey, depression sounds great. Bipolar sounds great. I feel like mental health is a thing that I don't know if it's born with or you develop due to environment or nurture by the people you grew up around. I'm not exactly sure how it would develop. I don't know the nitty gritty of it. I just know that I have it, and this is how I navigate it. And if you want to be a part of that, I understand, I get it. And if you are a part of that, I'm going to educate you. I'm going to tell you how I react. I'm going to tell you how I respond. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be like this, but just know that I'm working on it and it's getting better. And just if you're willing to go through this with me, be here with me, I promise I'm doing the best I can. And when I say that, I'm not just saying, oh, I'm doing the best I can in this moment. No, I'm doing the best I can to continuously get better to the point when I am having moments of depression, I go from wanting to hide in a room and close myself off from the world to being able to say, hey, honey, right now, I don't really feel really good. And I think I'm having a moment. And it's not your fault. I just think that this needs to pass right now, but right now I'm not okay. And that's progress, because at first I want to close myself off in the room, be by myself, but now I'm able to communicate how I'm feeling right there in the moment and identify that I'm not okay, but I will get past it. And I'm still able to function despite what I'm going through. That's progress. And if you're willing to be there throughout the progress, that's great. But some people aren't willing. That's great. And if that's something you want to do, that doesn't mean I'm stupid, I'm dumb, or I'm less than. It just means that that's something you don't want to be a part of as a potential partner. And that's great. But also understand that everybody comes with something. And I'm not saying that to settle down with anybody because everybody has something. I'm saying that because no matter who you get into a relationship, whether if it's mental health or if it's trauma or if it's family things going on, everybody has something that you're going to have to learn how to navigate. You're not going to find a perfect person. You're not going to find somebody who hasn't been unscathed by life. And therefore, you have to figure out which battle are you willing to fight with whoever you're willing to be with. And if dealing with a woman who has bipolar and personality disorder is something you don't want to be a part of, that's great. But if she's dealing with it and she's working through it and you're navigating that with her and you're willing to navigate that with her, then explore it. And if not, it's understandable. It doesn't mean that you hate her or you dislike her in a sense of she's a terrible person. It just might be something that you're not ready to deal with in your life because maybe you have other things going on and you don't have the mental and emotional, physical fortitude to provide for her in a potential relationship. And that's 100% understandable. But be honest and upfront about it. That's how I feel about it. It's definitely, we both had some growing to do. He actually got married after then divorced last year. Okay. Maybe. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. How you doing? How you feeling? What's going on with you? Where am I? Rose, thanks for the follow. I'm just so confused. Why are you confused? What's going on? He's 85%, but why can't we find someone that's perfect for us? I don't think anyone is necessarily perfect for us. I don't think that exists. I Like, my wife wasn't perfect for me. In a sense, we made our relationships feel perfect. If that make, like, because first and foremost, you're never going to have the perfect person, because no human being is perfect. We all have flaws. We all are learning. And because life is about learning and you learn through experiences, we're all going to have experiences that are going to teach you things that you need to know. It's going to have rough experiences. You're going to have good experiences. Experiences vary, but you learn from those experiences in order to become a better person, but you're never going to be a perfect person. So therefore, it's impossible to have a perfect relationship, because that requires two perfect people, which is impossible because, once again, we are imperfect human beings. But the beautiful and amazing thing about relationships is that could be created. A relationship is something that you and your partner create. It's like creating a board game or a video game. You and your partner just create it. However you want to navigate that, whatever you want to do, it doesn't have to look like everybody else's. This is a blank slate. However you and your partner want to navigate it. If y'all want to talk every day, all day, you can do that. If you don't want to talk every day, all day, y'all don't have to do that. As long as you mutually agree on the rules, that is the only caveat. You and your partner have to agree on every single thing. Beyond that, the sky's the limit. So when people say, oh man, looks like y'all have the perfect relationship, we don't. We just communicate. And we agree. And we continue to communicate until we agree. And if we don't agree, we don't do it, because it doesn't work for our relationship. But there's no such thing as the perfect person. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. You and your partner create the perfect environment. And I don't like to use the word perfect, because once again, perfection is impossible. But because you and your partner are created, whatever your idea of perfect is, because you're creating that idea of perfect for your relationship, whatever that looks like for you and your partner, you two are creating that environment. You two are creating that love. You two are creating that for each other and with each other. Yes, we are imperfect people. And it's not going to be a perfect person out there for you. It's not like there's 7 billion people out there and you win the lottery because you found the one that's for you. I feel like you find a person who's willing to work with you, who's willing to fight for you, who's willing to go through the hard things, who's willing to communicate, who's willing to love you despite everything else that's going on, who's willing to understand, who's willing to have patience. And that feels like the perfect person, because they're checking off all these boxes, but they also have things going on in the background that you have to do for them and reciprocate that for them. And it feels perfect because it feels good. It feels like everything's working, everything's clicking, everything's fitting into place. But that takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes intentional work, it takes vulnerability, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to create that. But it's never going to be perfect, because there's still days, no matter how good your relationship is, where you two have a misunderstanding because you assume your partner was on the same page because y'all been on the same page about everything else, and you realize your partner's not. It's like, okay, where do we go from here? Well, it's going to require you to talk. It's not always going to feel that way. It's not always going to be perfect. But when you do get to that crossroad where your partner wants to go left and you want to go right, that means y'all got to go back to the fork in the road and say, okay, what makes more sense for us? Let's talk about if we go left, what would happen? Let's talk about if we go right, what would happen? You might realize that shit, left or right isn't a good idea. Maybe y'all need to create a path, continue to go straight together. That could be a possibility too. But you got to communicate. You got to talk about it. Faith, how you doing? You said, bro, every damn time I get to work, you on live. My bad, friend. My bad. I have friends telling me to be single, and if the one you like 100% may come around. However, the one I'm with, we're compatible for sure. However, he's so much an extrovert, and I'm assuming you're an introvert. Man, I'm at my desk, sneak listening to the live. Oh shit, nah. I ain't gonna do it to you, friend. I ain't gonna do it to you. It's funny because I had, when I first started going live, I had a woman who would always watch me at her job. And she actually recommended my TikTok to her supervisor. And coincidentally, her supervisor and her went live at the same time. And she was like, I'm alive. Like I'm in a cut because she worked on like an office space. She had a little cubicle. She's like, I'm in a cut. Listen to you. I'm alive. My boss don't know. And it just so happened her boss was in alive as well. And her boss was like, hey girl, hey. And I was like, oh. And oop. But it was cool because they were besties outside of work, which I couldn't be friends with my boss like that unless we were friends before they became my boss. But it's neither here nor there. It was funny how that happened though. So as far as being an introvert and an extrovert, I feel like that's something that can be talked about or overcome. I don't feel like that's something that's set in stone. I say that because my wife is very much an extrovert. She loves people. She loves being outside. She loves being around people and talking and doing things outside me. I can enjoy my own company. I can sit in silence by myself for days at a time, and I have. I can enjoy I don't have to be on TV. I don't have to be on my phone. I ain't got to talk to nobody. I just listen to my thoughts. Hell, when I drive anywhere, I don't listen to the radio because I'm cool not hearing nobody else's voice. I'm cool just sitting in silence. I take the roads. I'll drive an extra 15, 20 minutes taking the road, sitting in silence just because I'm cool with that. My wife, she got her bad girl playlist on, windows down. She might stop at a red light, say what's up to another girl or another woman rather, and talk to her at the red light. My woman just straight extrovert. It's about finding balance. Because it works as an introvert to be in the house all the time, be by myself doing nothing, if I wasn't in a relationship, if I wasn't married. It worked for her all the time to go out and be around other people, to interact with other people as an extrovert if she wasn't in a relationship. But it's about balance. Because me as an introvert, I don't always want to go out. My social battery drains eventually to the point where it's not that I don't want to be there. Like, if I had a choice to go or stay, I'm going to always want to stay. But I do identify that because my wife is an extrovert, it is going to require me to go outside and socialize. But there's a certain point where my battery runs out and I'm like, I can't talk to another person because I might lose my mind. Or I am very overstimulated and I can't be in this big crowd of people for that long. Or I need to go home because right now I'm just not having a good time. And my wife, I do things, I go out and do things for my wife, but also because I want to be with my wife. And there are times where she understands that. She's like, oh, you know what, let's go back to the house. And there's times where she's like, you know what, I don't even want to go out today, let's stay in. And that benefits me because I'm cool with staying in, but also realizing that we can't stay in every single day and we can't go out every day. And it's about finding a balance that works for both of us. So I can't, every time she's like, hey, babe, let's go out and do something. Let's go out and do this. Let's go out and do that. I'm like, nah, babe, you go ahead and go by yourself. I'm just going to stay in the house. That doesn't work in a relationship. If I'm by myself and somebody called me to make plans, I cancel the plans right there. Matter of fact, I don't even make plans ahead of time. I make plans the day before, because if I make them ahead of time, it sounds good right now in the moment, because right now, if you told me to get up and go right now, I would have the energy to get up and go. But next week on Thursday, I might not have the energy. I'm not going to tell you yes and then have to mess around and cancel plans because I don't know how I'm going to feel. The me in a week from now, I don't know how he going to feel. And I ain't going to say yes for him. I ain't going to volunteer him for anything that he might not want to do at that time. So I don't make plans ahead of time like that. My wife, she'll schedule something right now for a month in advance. And then the day it come and she'll be like, oh, hey, babe, so by the way, we got this, and this going on. And I'm like, fuck. All right, let's go. Let's go. But if I knew ahead of time, I would have canceled plans. But it's about finding balance. And I feel like that's something that you can do with your partner. I'm having a hard time with my ego. The guy I rejected blocked me on everything. I don't know how to take it. So why does that bother you? Why is it okay for you to do it and for somebody not to do it to you? Why does that bother you so much? Because you rejected him, but when he rejects you, it's not okay. So when you reject him, it's okay, but when he rejects you, it's not okay. Why does that bother you so much, out of curiosity? How are you perceiving that more so is the question I should be asking. Like, why the way you're perceiving that, it's bothering you and sending you a signal to your brain to say, oh, I don't like that. What is that you're perceiving that's bothering you that way? Thank you all for likes, by the way. I don't know what to do. He loves me. He shows it to me in his way, but I know he has to do healing. So what's the problem, out of curiosity? Because we all have healing to do. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you're not perfect either. Like, I'm sure there's healing you might have to do. So what exactly is the problem? And I don't want, like I said before, I don't want you to take that the wrong way as a direct attack. I just more so, what about his healing is bothering you, but what about your healing do you think is not bothering him? Like, where are you in your relationship with him right now that is putting you at a crossroads? Say, because we were in a relationship, he left me for a week, so when he came back, I said, have a good life. So, Mo, were you expecting more from that interaction when you said, have a good life? Like, were you expecting him to explain himself, or were you expecting him to talk to you about it? Were you expecting him to say, no, don't leave, I want you to stay? Or like, what were you expecting from the interaction? Because you told him to have a, you like, he did what you told him to do. Now you're mad because he did what you told him to do. You told him to have a good life. He's like, shit, okay, I'm about to turn up there. You're like, no, wait. That's not what I meant. I feel like you have to mean what you say and say what you mean and say what you mean and mean what you say. It's imperative that you do that. If you want somebody to fight for you, if you want somebody to talk to you about it, if you want somebody to work through it with you, you have to say that, because people are going to take you literal, especially when the emotions and feelings are high. People are more prone to make impulsive decisions when they're angry, when they're upset, when they're frustrated, when they have emotions that are high, intense, involved. They will take you literally. And when they take you literally, you can't be surprised when they do that. So I want to keep making it work. He wants things to be done his way. He doesn't show me his feelings, which makes it hard. I know I have healing to do as well. I know I'm not perfect. You said, so what do you mean he wants things done his way? You said, I don't know what to do. He loves me and he shows me, he shows it to me in his way. You said, I want to keep making it work, but he keeps doing things. He wants things to be done his way. He doesn't show me his feelings. So what exactly are you looking for that he's not doing? Because it sounds like you feel like he's loving you, but you don't feel loved. You feel like he cares, but he's not showing up in ways that is showing you that he cares. So what exactly are you looking for from him that he's not doing that you feel like could change? Like, I think to make it easier, if I were him, what exactly are you looking to tell me, which is him, if that makes sense? Like, imagine I'm your partner and you're like, hey, I need this to change, or like this for change, because I want to be with you, but I can't be with you because of X, Y, and Z. What exactly is it that you're trying or wanting to convey to him that he's not interpreting and understanding and changing about the situation in order for you to feel comfortable enough to be in that relationship? So should I stand on business too? I mean, in honesty, you might not have an option. You might not have an option. And I say that because because the reason I say what you mean and mean what you say, because a lot of times you don't have the option to go back on your word, because maybe the other person already made a decision based off the decision that you made. So you might be like, man, you know what? I don't want to be with you no more. It's over. And then they're like, oh, okay, cool. And they go move on. And you're like, no, I actually changed my mind. I want to be with you. Well, they don't want to be with you now. So the option might not be available. Just because you want it doesn't mean that they want it, because they have to want it the same way you do in order for a relationship to work, because a relationship requires two people. So if you don't mean that, then don't say that. But because you said it, They took it as that you meant it and you might not have the option to be back in a relationship with them again. Or if you do have the option to be in a relationship with them again, how do they know that you're serious this time around? How do they know that you're not going to change your mind again like you did before? How do they know that it's comfortable to trust you, it's safe to trust you, it's safe to be with you when the ground feels unsteady because you changed your mind before and then all of a sudden you change your mind again? So what makes them feel like you're not going to change your mind again? You see what I'm saying? So I feel like before you get to the decision of before you get to making the decision of calling it quits and ending the relationship, identify if this is something you genuinely want to do. You genuinely want to do, because you might not get the option to hop back in it again, or if you do hop back in it again, it might not be the same. So I'm not saying you should stand on business. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that the option, you might not have an option. But I'm not saying don't try, because you don't know until you try, if that makes sense. Warrior, thanks for follow. I want him to be more vocal about how he feels and less controlling about things being his way. So from what I'm understanding is that you want him to express the way he feels when it comes to just in general, and when it comes to certain situations. You also want his thoughts and his perspective when it comes to making choices, but you also want the choices that are made to be mutual instead of him just making a decision and expecting you to go along with it. That's what I'm getting from what you told me. So for example, it's like if he's like, babe, I'm about to go buy a truck right now. And you're like, well, I don't really think it's a good idea financially for us to buy a truck. He's like, well, I want a truck, so I'm gonna go buy a truck. And he goes to buy a truck. It's like you weren't considered in that situation compared to saying, hey, honey, I'm really thinking about buying a truck because I really want one, but I want to understand your thoughts and your feelings about this. Like, what do you think? Do you think buying a truck right now is a good idea? Or what kind of truck do you think we should get? Or do you think our money could be put towards something else? Like, what are your thoughts about this? That's more so what you're looking for, I think, in the context of mutually making decisions instead of everything just being his way or the highway, because ultimately that's not, I won't say that's not a relationship quality, but that's more so like, this is where the lines get blurred, because it's important for you to be an individual in a relationship. It's important for you to care about yourself. It's important for you to always make sure you're good. But also when you get in a relationship, you have to be considerate of the relationship and the other person you're in a relationship with. So anytime you make a decision as an individual, you have to think about how that decision might affect the relationship and your partner as well. So you are 100% allowed as an adult and as an individual, as a grown person, to make a decision for you if that's what you choose to do. But how is that decision going to affect your partner? And is that a good decision? So just because you think it's a good decision, how it affects your partner, that's something that you need to talk to your partner about to make sure that they're on the same page, because ultimately your decisions are going to affect your partner. And you want to understand their feelings and emotions, because that might influence you to make a different decision or change the way you were going to make the decision from the get-go, because now you have a better understanding and a better background of what your partner thinks and how they feel about it. And then also when it comes to feelings and emotions build rapport. Feelings and emotions build comfortability. Feelings and emotions give the person a better understanding. So instead of just saying, hey, babe, how was your day? You'd be like, oh, my day was, or he'd be like, oh, my day was good. And you'd be like, okay. He answered your question. But what you're looking for is, why was it good? What did you do? What happened? Like, tell me about your day. Talk to me. What did you eat? Who did you interact with? What did you have going on? That's more so what you're looking for, is like that engagement, that for him to be interested, but also reciprocate that and understand how you feel and how your day was and what's going on with you and what did you eat and who did you interact with. And also, the feelings and emotions aren't just verbal. A lot of times they're physical. So like cuddling and holding and kissing and touching, like the emotions and feelings they extend beyond just the verbal, but you're looking for the start, which is just the verbal. Just tell me how you feel. If you're angry, tell me why you're angry. Tell me what's influenced you to be angry. Granted, you as his woman can't solve his problems and feelings. You can't solve his problems and necessarily change his feelings for him. He has to do that for himself to a certain extent, depending on what the actual problem is. But at least you're informed. At least you know. At least you understand what's going on, instead of him saying, "Oh, I'm fine." But obviously, he's not fine. Something's going on with him. And I understand where you're coming from, because at that point, it feels like you're carrying the relationship by yourself because you don't know what's going on. So you just, I won't say aimlessly in a relationship, but it's like you're not receiving healthy feedback to know what's working and what's not working. You're not receiving feedback to know what you're doing as a partner is working and what you're not doing as a partner isn't working. You don't know how to grow. You don't know how to change, if any way at all. You also, you can't talk to him about growth and change because he's not opening up that door for that availability, because he's not reciprocating, or he's not open to understanding how you feel, because it's his way or the highway, essentially. How do you feel about I understand where you're coming from, and I think that it's imperative for your man to understand where you're coming from, obviously. But I think the other part is that he has to be willing to understand where you're coming from, because he has to be the one to put in the work. And obviously you don't want to, it feels like you don't want to break up with him, but also you can't continue to be in a relationship with somebody who is not only not considering your feelings and emotions, but not talking about theirs as well. I think part of that is him understanding the importance of these dynamics, and understand that he's not a bad person because he hasn't been expressing it, but there's going to be a necessity to start expressing it, his feelings and emotions. How would that make me look if I contact him? Should I just respect his boundaries? The first question, how would that make me look if I contact him? My response to that question is, who's looking enough into your life, into your relationship, to give you an opinion that you're going to care about? Can you say, how would that make me look? Well, that means that you're asking my opinion or somebody else's opinion from the outside looking in, or how that would make you look. Would that make you look desperate? Would that make you look clingy? Would that make you look indecisive? Would that make you look, and the only person's opinion, or only people's opinion who matters, is yours and his. And he's either going to say, well, you know what, I do want to be with you, or he's going to say, I don't want to be with you. But what other people think doesn't matter. It's not their life to live, it's yours. He says, should you respect his boundaries? I feel like you could let him know what your intentions were, maybe, or you could talk to him about how he feels, or see if he's interested in revisiting a relationship with you. But ultimately, if he says no, then you have no control over that. You just have to accept that and move on. And going forward, what are you going to do differently in the next relationship if you decide to get into another relationship? Or if he says, yes, I do want to revisit that, then see what that looks like going forward. But I don't feel like you don't know until you ask what their thoughts and feelings are, or if they're interested in revisiting what you want to revisit. How do you feel about women who say all men cheat? Are they projecting? Let me change the narrative. What if I said all women are gold diggers? Or all women don't care about men? Or all women, I don't know, all women don't care about men's mental health? And obviously those statements aren't true, because we can't account for all women, just like we can't account for all men, because that would include me, right? That would include me and say, well, all men cheat in a relationship. Every relationship they get in, all men cheat. That's not true. All men don't understand women's feelings and emotions. Well, that's not true. I understand women's feelings and emotions, or at least I hope I do to a certain extent, you know. I hope I'm doing a good job over here. So, like, when you say all men, or not necessarily, I know it's not coming from your perspective necessarily, but because you're asking a general question. But when an individual says, this whole entire group, all of them are the same, I think it's a good chance that all the ones they've come in contact with have given them that experience. So therefore, they built that mindset that, well, it has to be all men, because I met 5 men who cheated on me, and therefore it has to be all men, because I'm assuming if I get with a 6th or 7th or 8th man, they're going to cheat too. Instead of just saying, well, it was those men. You see what I'm saying? It was that group of men. Those men. That's a different conversation we're having, because we're taking a select group of men who have cheated versus the whole population of men. So when you ask, are they projecting? I think they're projecting based off their personal experiences. Yes, to answer your question. It makes it really hard, so I think we need to have a conversation. Thank you. You're more than welcome. I think you all need to have multiple conversations, but I think he also needs to understand that you're not attacking him. You're simply informing him, meaning you're not telling him he's a bad man because he don't express his feelings and emotions. He's a bad man because he only makes decisions he doesn't consider you. You're not telling him that at all. You're simply saying like, hey, when you make decisions, I just want to be considered. I just want you to think about me. I just want you to ask me my feelings and my emotions. I understand that you are a grown man. I understand you can make your own decisions. You don't need to talk to me about every single thing you do. But when it comes to the important things, when it comes to the big things, I want to be informed. I want to be aware. I don't want you to make the decision, then I got to find out afterwards that you made the decision, and now I got to deal with the effects of that decision because I wasn't informed nor prepared for you to make that decision because you didn't come to me and talk to me about that. When it comes to your feelings and emotions, I want you to express those. I understand that you're going to take care of it. I understand you're going to handle it. I understand that you might feel like you're the only person who can solve this equation, solve this problem. But understand that I care about you. And because I care about you, I want to understand how you feel. I want to understand what's on your mind. Is it going to change the situation completely? No, but at least I'm aware. At least I don't have to find out after you've already dealt with it. Now you've been mad and upset this whole time. And then I come to you about things that might add more pressure to your plate, or necessarily add more pressure to your situation, or I don't want to put more on your plate and not be informed that you're not okay. And now it looks like I don't care because I wasn't aware of how you felt because you didn't express those feelings and those emotions to me. All I'm asking is that you make me aware, you consider me, you talk to me. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying you're bad. I love you. I care for you. You're doing a great job loving me. But I just want to be able to love you. And the only way I know how to do that is if I'm informed. That's all you're saying, but you're not. Nowhere in there are you attacking his character. Nowhere in there are you saying he's a bad man. Nowhere in there are you saying he's a horrible partner. It's just simply expressing the way you feel by informing him. There's a difference between telling somebody, you never tell me how you feel, you don't even care, and you make all these decisions without me, and I know you don't care about me as a partner, because if you did care, you would come to me and talk to me about these things. You're not saying that. You're simply saying like, hey, going forward, is this possible? What are your thoughts on that? What are your feelings upon that? How do you feel about what I just told you? Because that's where we start expressing feelings and emotions. How do you feel about what I just told you? Does that make you angry? Does that make you sad? Okay, what about that makes you angry? Okay, what about that makes you sad? Because you want to know. How do you navigate them not expressing themselves until he's basically ready to break up? I think maybe I answered your question unintentionally. But I know my wife and I, when she was my girlfriend, we talked about feelings and emotions because I was the type of person for the longest time, I felt like I needed to take care of it. I need to deal with it. It wasn't important to talk about feelings and emotions. It wasn't important to express myself. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change the situation. I don't want to become somebody else's problem. I don't want to seem less of a man because I can't take care of it. I don't want to be in a position to where my girl's looking at me like, well, this man's stressed out and he can't handle it, so I don't want to be with him. I want to be with a man who can handle it. And my perception on all that was wrong. Because my woman came to me and said, hey, I want you to talk about it. I want you to be open. I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to... All the conversations that a lot of you women out there, and I say you women, I don't mean that in a bad sense, but when I say you women, all the conversations that you all are wanting to have with your man are conversations that my woman had with me on how important it is to communicate feelings and emotions, on how important it is to be open, how important it is to be vulnerable. And it's not that I didn't have the ability to, I just didn't recognize how important it is or important it was in our relationship, because I was never in a healthy enough relationship to where I was with a woman who cared about my feelings and my emotions, or when I did express my feelings and emotions, who didn't see me in a different light, who told me that it was okay to cry, it was okay to not be okay, it's okay to be vulnerable. I was with women who told me, you need to suck it up, you're a man, you need to be tough, you need to be strong. The same concept that I heard growing up as a little boy to becoming a man, because feelings and emotions when it comes to little boys as well as men don't matter for a lot of people, because you're expected as a man to be tough, to be strong, to have on this coat of armor, not realizing that we as men are human. We as men have feelings. We as men have emotions. We as men are not okay sometimes. But guess what? You can ask any man, what is the saying that he says the most? It is what it is. I'll figure it out. It'll be okay. How many times have you asked a man, is he good? He's like, yeah, I'm all right. Meanwhile, the man's fighting demons in his head. He don't know how he gonna make the money. He don't know how he gonna accomplish these goals. He don't know how he's gonna buy this woman he cares for the world. He don't know how he's gonna pay for a wedding. He don't know how he's gonna pay for a ring. He don't know how he's gonna provide for her. He don't know how he's gonna take care of himself. He don't know any of these things. But if you ask him how he's doing, he's gonna say, I'm all right. I'm good. I figured it out. It is what it is. But when you have a woman who say, no, it's not, it isn't, is what it is. Obviously, you're stressing. Talk to me about it. Work with me. Let's figure this out together and actually mean it and follow through with it. It's like, I can breathe because I don't have to carry this by myself. My woman might not be physically as strong as me, but emotionally, mentally, this girl, she's stronger than me. She's strong. And I think part of that is because women are used to talk about feelings and emotions. Women are used to communicating. Women, because women do it with other women. Women have been considered as little girls as well as early, late into womanhood when it comes to feelings and emotions, when it comes to talking about these things, when it comes to, like, women are used to this, I'm comparing it to men. And with that being said, it's like when it comes to talking about feelings and emotions, this might be a new concept for a lot of men who aren't comfortable with doing this because they haven't done it. And it might take time. I'm not saying wait forever. It might take time, it might take effort. And you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to do the wrong thing as a man, but also it's important to open up. It's important to be vulnerable. And I think the difference maker for a lot of men is that you're going to have men who choose to leave the ego at the door and realize that it's okay to not be okay. Doesn't mean you're less of a man. Doesn't mean you're stupid. Doesn't mean you're dumb. Doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you are a human being. And it's time for you to talk about it. And you have other men who just stay closed off in their little turtle shell because they're afraid to open up. Because what if? What if somebody views them differently? What if they look weak? What if they don't have the answer? What if they don't know how to do it? What if? So you have men who open up and come out of that shell. You have men who stay in that shell forever, and that shell just becomes harder and harder because the world's just throwing stuff at that shell, and they toughen up. You have other men who are able to walk with the shell on, and know when it's time to go in it and shut up, and it's time to come out of it and talk. So to answer your question, how do you navigate them not expressing themselves until it's basically ready to break up? They have to want to. They have to want to. I think that's the difference maker. Obviously, waiting until they get to the end to finally express the way they feel is almost like, what am I supposed to do about the situation now that you've waited to the end of a relationship to finally say how you feel? I was never there for you. I was never this. I was never that. But I've been asking you, throughout the relationship as your woman, are you good? Do you need anything? Is there anything I can do for you? You say, no, I got it. No, I figured out. No, I'm good. Now, all of a sudden, I was never there for you when I tried to be. Now, all of a sudden, I never cared when I did, but I didn't know how to care because you never expressed to me what was going on. So how would I know what to do and how to do it if I didn't know what was going on? Even not knowing what's going on, I know a lot of women still be like, well, I try to be there for him. I try to communicate to him. I try to talk to him. I try to cook and clean and make sure he was good and comfortable. I try to rub his back. I try to be intimate with him. I tried every single thing that I felt like would work, but I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know what the problem is. So I'm trying to put out a fire, but meanwhile I'm washing dishes because I don't know if there's, I don't know what the fire, like I don't know what to do. I don't know. And that's valid in a lot of cases because a lot of men don't talk about it. They don't talk about what the problem is, or they feel like, I know that some men genuinely feel like their woman is incapable of solving the problems for them. That's a thing too. I know for me, in some cases my wife is able to figure out the problem better than I can. Hell, she has the answer, and I'd be the first one to say, baby, I ain't got this. Baby, I don't know how to do this. Baby, I can't figure this out for the life of me. And she's like, okay, what's the problem? Let's talk about it. I always feel like at the worst case scenario, 2 heads is going to be better than 1. We can both not understand what's going on and not know how to do it, but we're going to figure it out together. But if I genuinely don't know, and even if I did know, I'm still going to go to my woman and be like, hey, babe, I was thinking about doing this for this situation. Does that make sense? Or do you got a better way of doing that, you think? Because she might genuinely have a better way of doing it, but at least I'm letting her know. At least she's, my most important thing is knowing that she knows that she's always going to be in the loop. I never want her to be the last one to find out. I don't want her to find out from somebody else. I don't want to go talk to, an ex-girlfriend or another woman about the way I feel, and then now she has to find out from another woman the way I feel. Like, no. My woman's going to find out from me how I feel, what's going on, what's happening next, what decision I'm making. I always want her to be in a loop. I might know how to do it. I might not know how to do it, but she gonna know. And I think that's the important part. That's an important part of it as well. It says self-sabotage. X says he doesn't want to get back together right now. Continues to reach out to me, asks to hang out, etc. Why? Because he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't want to be in a relationship. But he wants, what that tells me, I'm not saying this is the exact scenario. I'm not saying this is the exact scenario. I don't want you to assume. I don't want you to take that and run with it. But how I'm perceiving your statement, X doesn't want to get back together right now. Why? Because relationships take a commitment. It's an obligation. It's something that you have to consistently put into. It's pressure, it's work, it's effort, all the things. But he keeps wanting to hang out. He keeps wanting to spend time. So it's not that he doesn't have the ability to do the things that are required to be in a relationship. He's just choosing not to want to do the things, but still want to have a relationship with you without the commitment. Because that is easier than having an obligation. So if we can still hang out and still be intimate and still do all the things as if we were in a relationship but don't have to be in a relationship, that means when I go days without texting you, when I go days without calling you, when I go days without showing up, you can't be mad at me because we're not technically together. But when I pop up for my convenience because I want to spend time with you, I want to be intimate with you, I want to do all the things, we could do that because we got that comfortability level even though we're not in a relationship. That's what that tells me. Does that make sense? My ex said things had been not good for a while, but he never talked to me ever. So how are you supposed to know? Actually, thank you for the roses. That's my thing. It's like, you didn't even, you robbed me of an opportunity to be the best version of myself and to be the best partner for you in our relationship by not informing me of what the problems were. You just assume that I was supposed to have seen it, but also keeping in mind, or not keeping in mind, because that person wasn't keeping in mind that you have your own things going on in life. You have work, you have school, some people have children, some people deal with family issues and trauma and their self-growth and their self-love and self-care and working on their own mental health. And you expect me to have you under a microscope and pay attention to you all day, every day to make sure you're good, to see what's going on. And when I assume something's off by your mannerism, by the tone of your voice, by you not talking, because people are a creature of habit. So when your habits switch up and you do things differently and I question it, you say, oh, it's good, nothing's wrong, nothing. Then what else am I supposed to assume? Because I can't read your mind. So you're not bringing clarity to the situation. What am I supposed to do? Now, all of a sudden, we get to the end of the road and you say, well, you were never there for me. You never cared. You never showed up. I've been unhappy for the longest time. Then why didn't you say anything? Because when I'm unhappy, guess what I do? Hey, babe, can we talk? Hey, babe, you got a minute? Hey, babe, I need to talk to you about something serious. And what do? A lot of times, a lot of men blow their woman off in those cases. Oh man, you want to talk about this? Oh man, you always got something to talk about. Oh man, you always got something wrong with you. What is it now? What? So not only are you not available for me when I need to talk to you, but you're not making yourself available for me to understand what's going on with you, to be there for you. Now we're at the end of the rope and I've never been there for you. He says right now I won't get back together, but always leaves the door cracked after 10 years. What do I do? What do you want to do? I think that's the better question. Don't leave it up to him on what you should do. What do you want to do? And never talked about his feelings. I always asked if he was okay. He said yes. Are you happy? Yes. When you don't nag. The famous words, when you don't nag, when you aren't being annoying. Do you think an ex could really be friends with you if he loves you, or is he over you? I will always question, what is a friend? What is your definition of a friend? So if you have any best friends or any friends that you consider like people, like you can call them and they show up for you and they're there for you, they're there to talk, they're there to comfort you, they're there to text, they're there to spend time with you, they're friends. What is your idea of a friend? Stop right there for a minute. Think about that. And ask yourself, if the person you were just in a relationship with, do they fit that profile? I'm saying throughout that whole relationship. Don't just take the good parts of it. I mean, throughout the whole relationship, because your friend never switched up, right? Your friend has been your friend the whole time. They have been the same consistent person throughout the entire friendship. So has the person you were just in a relationship with been a consistent friend for you throughout the entire relationship? And then you ask the question, well, after the relationship is done, can they still be this consistent person for you? I think that's a question you have to answer for yourself based off your own experience with the individual. But does he still love you, or is he over you? I can't answer that question because I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I know for me, personally, it'd be hard for me to be in a relationship with somebody that I've been intimate with. It'd be hard for me to make plans with this person, spend the rest of my life with them, to share my hopes, goals, and dreams, to be vulnerable with them mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, and then go to just being their friend. It'd be hard for me to see them to be in a relationship with somebody else. It'd be hard for me to support them knowing that they're loving somebody else when they could be loving me, but they chose not to because they chose to move on with somebody else. I know for me personally, if we can't be in a relationship as lovers, I don't want to be just your friend, because I can't convince myself that this is enough for me, because I want you and I want to be with you, not just to be your friend. I feel like that's a consolation prize, and I don't do participation trophies. So if you're asking me on a personal level, I couldn't do it. If we can't be together, I'd rather be nothing. Some people are willing to be friends because they want to stay in this person's life. They enjoy their company. They want to be around them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's what you want to do in your own personal life, there are people who say they've dated somebody and they were intimate and they did all the things, and then they are now best friends and they're both married in different relationships and they all still hang out. To each his own. I know I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, and I'm not going to ever do it. But everybody's life is different. It's all about what you're willing to put up with. I just stayed at my new place for one night and it was brutal. Oh, what was brutal about it? What was brutal about it? Is it getting used to being by yourself? Good morning, my friend. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope your weekend was great as well, and thank you for the donation. Good morning, good morning. Should I call my ex today and tell him I don't want a friendship? I want answers so I can move on. I want to ask him if he sees us getting back together before the year ends. Should I not do that? I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. What I will say is that if they want a friendship and you don't, it's all about you. Let me start off by saying that. It is always going to be about what you want. It's supposed to sound selfish. It's always going to be about what you want. So if you want a relationship and they don't want a relationship, that's not going to work. If you don't want a friendship, but they do want a friendship, that's not going to work, because you're going to try to fake it until you make it. You're going to be in a place of complacency where you're never going to be happy, because this is not genuinely what you want. It's not genuinely what you're looking for. So if you've already established the fact that you don't want to be just their friend, but they want to be friends with you, this is not going to work, in my personal opinion. Therefore, if you say you want answers, they might not give you the answers nor the closure that you're looking for, because they are not obligated to by any means. Could they? Yeah, if they wanted to. But are they obligated? No. And you still might walk away from the situation not having any answers, not having any closure. They might tell you or give you very vague answers and say, oh, yeah, well, maybe there's a possibility sometime soon, hopefully, maybe if the pigs fly and the sky falls, where we could possibly, sort of speaking, maybe get back together by the end of the year. That's an answer. They answered your questions. Might not be what you want to hear, but it was a maybe. Are you going to hang on to that maybe? Me personally, it's a yes or no. But if we're counting down to the end of the year, why can't we just be together now? What's preventing us from being together now? Maybe we could put in the work to be together and then do the work while we're together to stay together. But me personally, I don't like maybes. I don't have time nor patience for maybes. I can't plan a future on a maybe. There's nothing I can do with a maybe. There ain't shit I can do with a maybe, actually. I need to know yes or no, so I know if I need to come up with another plan or I need to pursue this one. But I won't tell you what to do. I won't tell you to not ask for closure or to not ask questions or to not ask for clarity, because maybe they'll provide it. I don't know. What I will say is that if it's not what you want to hear, you decide what you want to do with that response. I am a person who wants clarity 24/7. I don't need a maybe. I don't need a possibly. I don't want to, I'm just going with the flow. I don't want to, we'll see what happens. I need to know. Yes or no. Based off how you feel right now in present day, while I'm asking you, while we're having this conversation, how do you feel? Do you want to, it's as simple as when you're in grade school, you pass somebody a sheet of paper and say, hey, do you like me? And you circle yes or no. I need that type of energy. And if you need a paper and a pencil, damn it, let's work it out. Yes or no? Everything just hit me. I cried until 5:30. No, why are you crying? What happened? Is it just a lot, the transition and knowing that things look different now and are different because you're actually experiencing it and living it? Like, is it just a lot and it's overwhelming for you? You say, I agree. I told my ex if we aren't together, we're nothing, not friends. Basically, don't know him. Literally nothing. I feel that. I felt that in my soul. Because for what? When am I going to be friends with you for? And in my personal opinion, I've been in so many bad relationships to where I was with people who had a purpose, who had an obligation to me to a certain extent, because they volunteered to be in a relationship with me. Friends, they don't have to be my friend. Friends, they could shoot. This isn't like a commitment type deal. Like, if they want to be my friend, cool. If they don't, then cool. But if you volunteer to be in a relationship and you volunteer to love me and you still can't be a good friend for me, then what are my expectations when you don't have an obligation to me after the relationship is already said and done? You're my ex. Why would I expect you to stick around and text me and call me? Why would I expect you to be there for me? Especially if you get into a relationship with somebody else, how can I expect you to be there for me and be a friend for me and your partner be okay with it? If you as a woman dated a man, broke up, and y'all became friends, and that man who's your ex decided to get with another woman, and he tells that woman, hey, I'm still texting my ex. I'm still friends with my ex. I still want to be there for my ex. I got to make sure my ex is okay. You think that new woman for you? Let's change it up. Let's say you are in the shoes of that new woman. And the man that you're with is telling you, hey, I'm still texting my ex. I'm still calling my ex. I'm still there for my ex. I'm still spending time with my ex. I'm still FaceTiming my ex because I want to be there for her because she's my friend. Nothing more. She's just my ex, though. We were intimate, and we talked about marriage and kids and having a potential family, but it just didn't work out. So, but I'm still friends with her. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. So if they want to work towards a relationship but take time, then should I give them time? That is up to you because this is your time that you are spending. I'm not going to tell you. Have to be confident in the decisions that you're making. Your decisions can't rely on somebody else making the decisions for you. This is your time that you're dedicating to this. Not my time, not somebody else's time, but your time. So if they say they want to gradually work towards a relationship, that's your time. Are you willing to sacrifice that time for a potential relationship or for it to potentially not work out? Everyone is worth more than a maybe. I agree. I just don't like change at all, and I hate unknown and being alone. Well, this is new. And new things require change. It requires growth. It requires adjustment. It requires a new cycle. It requires a new system. It requires a new form of comfortability. It requires a new form of safety. And it's going to look different. But this is what life is. Life is about having new experience to see what you like and what you don't like. And if you keep doing the same thing in life, it becomes repetitive after a while. You get tired of the cycle. You get tired of the system. And also, you're not living life because life is meant for you to live through experiences, and experiences only happen when you choose to take a leap of faith. And experiences might work out, and they not the necessary experience, but because you chose to have an experience, the experience might be beneficial or it might not be, and you learn from that experience and you choose to have a different one. You have experiences through decisions and the choices that you make. And right now you made a choice to have a new experience, and you see how it turns out. You give it time. You might love it. You never know. Should I tell him I have to block him once I get my answer of not getting back together? I want clarity. You shouldn't have to tell him anything. You just do it. You shouldn't have to tell him, well, if you don't give me clarity, I'm going to block you. That he's going to say, okay, well, that's what you need to do. Because that sounds like you put somebody in the position of an ultimatum. You either tell me what I want to hear or I'm going to block you. Block me then. Like if we're at that point, block me then. That's how I would perceive that. Him continuing to be in my life makes no sense. Go somewhere else. And the definition of quote-unquote friend literally means they still don't want to talk to you. I'm glad you recognize that, because that's how I feel too. They still, it's like if you want to be, that's the way I look at exes who want to be friends. It goes one or two ways for me. Either you want to be my friend, but you want to be friends with benefits. Like you want to hit me up and sleep with me when it's convenient for you. Or you want to be my friend because you're just trying to have some type of like connection, but you're not really nurturing that connection. Like you're not texting, you're not calling, you're not reaching out. Like you're not doing nothing with that. Like what's the point? What's the point of even doing it? So I'm not falling for that. I couldn't. I barely accept female besties. You can give them time, but still live your life as if they're not your significant other until they commit. Whenever you center your life around a man, you're going to be disappointed. Whenever you as a woman center your life around a man, you're going to be disappointed. Anytime you use a man as motivation for you to become a better woman, you're going to be disappointed. Anytime you use a man for you to have a better life, you're going to be disappointed. Every time you're relying on a man to provide for you, to provide your safety, to do anything for you, you're going to be disappointed. Because you're relying on this man for every single aspect of your life that you should be building for yourself as a woman. And when this man decides to leave, guess what? Everything that you relied on leaves with him. And now you feel like you're less of a woman because you don't have this man who you've been relying on. You should want to love you. You should want to care for you. You should want to provide yourself safety and love and comfort. You should want to be a better woman for you, not for another man. Anytime you center yourself around a man, you're going to feel like you need him. You don't want him. You need him. As much as my wife love my black ass, if I decide to leave, she's still going to be good. She don't need me. She want me. That's a big difference. If I passed away, if I decide to leave, if I decide to do something as stupid as cheat or lie or something like that, guess what? She gonna be good. She gonna be good. Good. She don't need me. Is she gonna be hurt? Absolutely. Is she gonna be sad, upset, frustrated because of how things turned out? Absolutely. Because the love and the connection and relationship we built up to this point, it took work, it took time, it took effort, it took energy, it took everything, right? So obviously, her as a human being, she's gonna react to a situation that is this big, more so. But do she need me? Is she gonna be like, babe, please come back, I need you, I wanna be with you, I miss you so much, I just can't live life without you? No. She gonna be good. Because her life isn't centered around me. I am a part of her life. She is the center of her life. Her. She's the foundation. She's the capital. She is the head honcho. I am just a part of it. Like, she's the biggest building, and I'm like, this is her up here. I'm this. But guess what? If I wasn't there, she'd still be this. She's still gonna be good, with or without me. She gonna be good. Anytime you send your life around a man and you're seeking answers and you're seeking clarity and you need this and you need that, you're gonna be disappointed. And that goes with anybody. You're gonna be disappointed. Your life should not be centered around another person. Your life should be centered around you, and everything that has to do with you is going to be centered around you. And you take care of it, you love it, you cherish it. But if or when it decides to leave by death or by choice, you should be okay regardless. Not saying that you're not going to react and have feelings and emotions, because you are human. But you're not going to be begging for it back or figuring out how to figuring out ways to try to get it back in your life, because you're going to be okay without it. You know why? Because you love you enough for you. You love and care for you. You cherish you. You're going to do for you that nobody else can ever do for you. And you're going to continue to do for you what nobody else can ever do for you, with or without a relationship. Even now, being married to my wife, I still love me more. I love my wife with every single ounce of my soul, my body, my heart, everything that I got. I love this woman. Anything that she asked, she got it. But if it ever got to a point where I could no longer love her, I will always love me more. Always. And if you are not at that point in your life and you feel like you need somebody there, you got work to do. Not for somebody else, but for you. Do you have any advice to make it better? My man stayed up with me on the phone the whole night. I know, living by myself, so I got my first apartment as an adult. Well, I had my first apartment ever living alone when I was 26, I think 26 or 27 years old. And it was scary living in my own apartment, not because I was in a bad neighborhood, just because I was alone. I was in an empty apartment. Didn't have any furniture, didn't have any paintings, and I'm very much a minimalist, so it was cool having bare minimum. I went to the store, bought a couch. Actually, the couch I'm sitting on now, was my first couch for my apartment. I bought a bed, bought the necessities. But living in my apartment was weird, because I was so used to other people being around, I was so used to routine, I was so used to hearing noise. I didn't have no animals. I didn't have nothing. It was just me. And And it was scary. I know for my wife, when she got her first apartment, she said it was scary for her because it was just her. And I think that's something that over time you figure out how to adjust. I don't necessarily, some people would say get an animal by knowing your situation. That might not be a possibility. Some people say seek friends in the neighborhood, or seek somebody who has experienced something similar to you living in your vicinity, and maybe you're able to relate to them and get some advice from them on how they adjusted to a similar situation that you're in now. But I know for me, it was just a matter of time that I had to adjust. Sometimes I had to keep lights on. Like, not that I'm afraid of the dark, it's just that it was too quiet. It got to the point where it was like an eerie quiet because it was just me and my thoughts. I'm not gonna watch so much TV or watch so much social media on my phone before I turn the TV off or turn my phone off, and it's just back to silence. Some people say spend at least amount of time in your place as you can. So be outside as often as you can and come home to shower, eat, sleep, and then repeat. That helps to a certain extent till you get used to your new environment. I feel like everybody's different when it comes to that. But if anybody has any advice on how to adjust to how to be an adult living on your own for the first time, what can help you to adjust? If anybody has any advice for that, please feel free to share. The floor is yours. So you left to find that maybe he'll shape up and maybe it'll stick. If it doesn't, time to keep looking what he won't do someone else is wanting. I agree. I truly believe that nobody's responsible for my happiness but me. That's a fact. You don't have to beg or give an ultimatum. That's a fact. I looked, but I immediately found guilt and stopped looking. Goofy, it's okay. Chill for a bit and heal before searching again. It's no rush. I'm 25, though. It was my first relationship. Let me tell you something. I've been married and I've been divorced. I've been in plenty of relationships. I didn't find my first healthy relationship. My first healthy relationship to where I plan on spending the rest of my life with this person until I was 27. I know some people feel like they're running out of time and they need to date and they need to find the one. I was 27 years old before I said, yeah, this is actually the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. No question, no doubt, no nothing. This person is the person. This is my person forever and always. At 27 years old. I've been in serious relationships before. While I was in relationships for 4 years, for 3 years. We got married. Like I said, got divorced. Everybody's journey looks different. And just because it was your first love doesn't mean it's your last love. And you realize that your first love really isn't your first love. It was the first time you might have had an experience of what love could look like and what love could feel like, but it doesn't mean it was your first love necessarily. Your first love is somebody who genuinely loves you back. That's your first love. Your first love is a relationship where you never have to leave because they give you every reason to stay, and they're staying as well. First love is not what people think it is. Like, oh man, it's the first time I've been in love, and it's the only time I'm gonna be in love, and everything feels so right, everything feels so good. It's just your first experience with what love could look like, what love could feel like, but it's not really love when you look back at it, and because you genuinely are in love. You'll know when you're genuinely in love, because real love won't leave you. Real love, you don't have to question. Real love, you don't have to wonder if they're gonna come back or if they're gonna change their mind. Real love is gonna stick with you forever. You're gonna feel it in your soul, like in your soul, because your soul is gonna be tied. You're so young, embrace your youth now while you have, especially now with no obligation to him. I agree. After 30, a lot of the guys are hollow because they're no longer with the girls they loved. I heard that before. How do guys grow past there was only one love for them? Um, that's a good question. I I think that a lot of guys have to identify what it was about that relationship or those relationships that made them feel like they were loved and cared for. And was it the woman necessarily that made them feel that way, or was it their actions and their words that made them feel loved and cared for? And I think that's an identifying factor for a lot of people. Is it the person themselves, or is it the way they talk and the way they walk and their actions that made you feel loved? Because anybody can bring you flowers. Anybody could take you on dates. Anybody could spend time with you. Anybody could tell you you're beautiful. Anybody could tell you you're amazing, you're spectacular, they appreciate you, they adore you. Anybody could tell you exactly what you want to hear and show you what you want to see. But I feel like the person is the factor. The person themselves make the difference. And the person themselves has to be consistent with all of that. In a lot of cases, people haven't found another person to replicate those actions and those words, so therefore they associate the actions with the word. They associate the actions and the words with only that one person because that was their only experience of feeling anything close to love. Therefore, they hung up on their first love. Now, realizing that if they were to put themselves out there in a healthy way and seek another individual, that next person could be the person who not only says everything they need to hear, but shows them everything they need to see, but also is consistent because that's the kind of person that they are. And then also taking into account that personality and their qualities, who they are as a human being and how they treat other people. It goes just beyond how they make you feel and the things they say to you. It's who they are as a person that means a lot, because people aren't interchangeable. Like, you're not going to meet the same person twice. You might meet the same person. You might meet a similar person who might have done the same thing or said the same thing, but you're not going to meet the exact same person twice. We are all unique. And I think that when it comes to a lot of men's first love, or just anybody's first love in general, I think they have to identify what about that feeling, what about those emotions, what about that relationship made them feel like they were in love. And it's hard to say you've had a first love when you haven't had real experiences or real relationships to compare it to. So it's hard to say, like, metaphorically speaking, cheese pizza is the best pizza you've ever had and ever gonna have if you never try any other ones. You know what I mean? Like, you have nothing to compare it to, so you can't say this is the best of all time if you haven't expanded your palate enough to have genuine experiences to compare it to. I promise you won't have to talk to him, though you didn't ask. I will say, please don't talk to him one last time. Have you and your wife ever went through a rocky phase? Yes. Yes, we have. When we were trying to figure out our attachment styles, because we didn't talk about them initially. It was more so we had to experience them to say, oh, we don't like that. I was very avoidant. My wife was very anxious. And the way I dealt with conflict heightened her anxiety. And the way she dealt with conflict, I guess, heightened my avoidance or furthered my avoidance. And it's funny because it's not that we didn't care. It's just that we were so accustomed to dealing with situations a certain way that it was perceived that way, but it wasn't intended to be that way. It was because we cared was the reason why we were reacting the way we were. So as an avoidant person, I was used to not talking about feelings and emotions. I was used to, whenever there's a conflict, I'm not the type of person to argue with you or fight with you. You got it. You won. I'm not the type of person to I wasn't the type of person to deal with situations. It was easier for me to just avoid it, to walk away from it. Or if I didn't have the right words to say in that moment, I feel like it was better for me to say nothing at all and take a step back than for me to lean into it and speak gibberish until I found the words to say. My wife being anxious, she needs to deal with things right then and there. But sometimes she didn't have the words to say because she didn't want to seem overwhelming or too much. She didn't want to push me away and feel like she was being neglected. Is that the word I'm looking for? Feel like I was gonna abandon her. That's the word I'm looking for. Feel like she's gonna be abandoned by talking about the way she felt. So there was a time where we were at her apartment and I forgot. That's how minor the situation was. I forgot what we were talking about, but I didn't know what to say in that moment. So what I did was I walked out, and my intention was to go sit in the car for a minute and then come back and talk to her. And I remember her sitting on the bed, and as I was walking out, I had got to the door, she started crying. She's like, "Please don't leave." And it wasn't that I was gonna leave her, like actually like leave to go back to my apartment. I was trying to go sit in the car for a minute, come back and talk to her because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do in that moment. But my habit of avoiding kicked in and I went into fight or flight, and I went into flight. Her anxiety was like, he's about to abandon me. He's about to walk away. He's about to leave. So she's like, "Please don't leave." And I had told her, I was like, "I'm just going to go to the car, sit in the car for a minute." She's like, "No, I want you to sit here and I want you to talk to me, if that's okay." And she told me in that moment, she talked to me about her anxiety. She said, "When you leave, it feels like you're abandoning me. It feels like you don't care. It feels like you don't want to do this. It feels like you want to walk away." Now, it's explained to her, it's not any of that. I was like, "I just don't know what to say or what to do." She's like, "Sometimes it's okay to not know what to say and not know what to do." She's like, "If you don't know what to say or what to do," she's like, "just sit here with me. Or if you genuinely do need a minute, just tell me, talk to me, use your words." She's like, "All I'm perceiving is your actions and what you're doing." She's like, "But I don't know why you're doing it." She's like, "So it's a difference between you walking to the door, going to go sit in the car because you know you might need a moment." She's like, "But I feel like you're about to just drive off and abandon me." She's like, "It's a difference between doing that and then turn around and say, 'Hey, honey, I need about 5 minutes to get my thoughts and my feelings together. I'm gonna go sit in the car and then I'm gonna come back up and we could talk about this.' Because now I understand, now I know what's going on, and that lessens my anxiety. Granted, there's still a conversation that would need to be had, but at least I know you're not leaving and we're done." And that was the pivot point for our relationship, because anytime I felt like, not that we were bad before, but this was one of the biggest moments. Like I said, I forgot what even the situation was, but this is one of the biggest conversations we've had where we had to navigate conflict, and this is where our attachment styles really showed in that moment. And I didn't leave. I sat on the bed and we talked for 6-7 hours straight. And I dissected what her anxiety looks like and what triggers it and how she feels and what she perceives. I wanted to experience life through her eyes. I want to experience her attachment through her eyes. So I had her describe it to me as if I want her to describe every little detail, and I did the same for her when it came to my avoidance. And we had a better understanding. And as time went on through our relationship, I no longer needed 5 to 10 minutes to myself. I was able to deal with conflict right then and there on a spot. I didn't need to walk away. I didn't need a moment. I didn't need to calm down. I didn't need to relax. I didn't need to do anything. Not that I ever yelled or screamed, or not that we ever argued. It's just that the way our fight or flight kicked in when it came to navigating conflict, because we both had just left narcissistic relationships where I needed to be an avoidant to avoid arguments, because the woman that I was with was really like an antagonizing person where she would argue, she would want to fight, she would want to, and I'm not the type of person to do that. I would rather walk away. She'd go upside my head like this and say, "Hey, you need to be listening," and I'm not gonna put hands on you. I'd rather just leave. I'd rather just go stay at a friend's house, because it's not that deep for me. So bringing that over to a healthy relationship And then her being in a narcissistic relationship before with a guy who is yelling at her and screaming at her, telling her she's too much and she's too overwhelming, and who does slam doors and who does walk away and who doesn't want to talk about things and who doesn't want to do all the things. And then being in a healthy relationship with a man who's showing similar qualities of avoidance, but it's for different reasons, if that makes sense. But once we understood why we were doing what we were doing, we're like, oh, let's just fucking stop. Because it's not necessary, because it's safe. We're safe. We're okay. We don't need to do this. Like, we're not in narcissistic relationships. We're not in traumatizing relationships. We're in a safe place where I want to be here and love you, and you want to be here and love me. So let's figure out how we do this. So that was the rockiest moment in our relationship. But like I said, and that was within our first year. I think in our 9th month of dating, maybe 8th month of dating, 9th month of dating. And ever since then, and we've been together for 4 years going on 5, and we're married. We have a house. We have our blended household. I have 2 little ones and she has 1, and we have a dog and cats and land, and almost financially free and comfortable financially. Like, we are living our life. And that is that one pivotal moment that could have broke us, and we wouldn't have this life that we have. Instead, we leaned into it and we figured the fuck out, and we're here living our best life together. You said, he never break up with me, so I regret it because I know he wanted to marry me. If you ever need it, you can. I don't think it'll benefit you. Just hurt you already. It hurt enough. And so at this point, just move on faster. If I got an answer, I can't move on if I do well. I can't hear you. Whatever clothes you need only come from you. Make space special for yourself. Find a routine. True, but he's hurting just as much, so I can't understand not answering me. How do you know he's hurting, out of curiosity? I need therapy for sure, work on my healing, but it'll take time before I do so. Pixie, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where am I at? Coming out of a toxic relationship and desiring a healthy one takes some reprogramming. It does. It takes, because being in fight or flight for so long in a toxic relationship, I always felt like this, and she always felt like this. Like, we got to prepare for, like, we can't say the wrong thing, you can't do the wrong thing, you're stepping on eggshells, you can't, if it's almost like conditioning yourself to survive in an unhealthy environment felt more comfortable than being alone, because you didn't know what to expect. And at least in a toxic, unhealthy relationship, you know what to expect next, because you know how to prepare. You know what you should do or what you shouldn't do, because if you do this, it's going to make this person upset or mad. If you don't do this, it's going to make this person upset and mad. So you don't do this and you do this. And so it's easier to navigate that. But also, you're living like this the whole time and waiting for something else to happen. And then when you get in a healthy relationship, you could finally go and breathe, because you don't have to carry that weight or that anxiety, or like you know what to expect next, and you know what comes next is going to be healthy. Like, I can go to my wife and say, hey babe, I'm not okay, I need help, and I know what to expect next. She's gonna be like, okay, what is it, what do you need, what can I do for you? That's a beautiful feeling. It's an even kill. It's consistency. And a lot of people say healthy relationships are boring. That's a wild statement to me. Healthy relationships are fun. Healthy relationships are extraordinary. Healthy relationships are everything that I feel like I've been needing and wanting in my life, because I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be concerned about, like, my main focus isn't my partner necessarily, in the sense of me trying not to make them upset, or if I'm coming home to a partner who is upset, or what did I do this time, or trying to rack my brain on what I might have said a week ago that now they're upset about. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to do any mental gymnastics. I just have to exist in a space where I know I'm loved and I'm cared for. And if anything is wrong, I don't have to play the guessing game. I don't have to ask what's wrong 17 times. I don't have to expect a hostile response. My wife's gonna come to me and say, hey honey, can I talk to you about this for a minute? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, well, here's my thoughts, here's my feelings. Here's what's going on with me. Okay, cool. Well, let's unpack that. Never does it lead to my voice getting loud or her voice getting loud, or never does it lead to us talking at each other. Never does it lead to us being in each other's face or feeling hostile. It doesn't lead to any of that. It's just simply we can sit here and cuddle and talk, and then the conversation is done. And it's like, did you watch them TikToks I sent you? Oh, you ain't watched them TikToks. You ain't watched them 101 TikToks I sent you. No. But like, it's life is so beautiful because now our focus is on money. How can we make more money for our family? How can we grow more and get more than we have now? Like, our main focus isn't each other necessarily on preparing for the negative things. Our goal is to now, it's like, okay, now our relationship is good and our foundation is set in our relationship. Now we can turn our attention to the things that matter right now in this moment, which is like the outside world and how we navigate together, how we navigate that together as a family and as a couple, and how do we make sure our family is good, and how do we continue to protect our peace and our happiness and create a safe zone for not only ourselves but for our children as well. And it's a beautiful feeling knowing that I have a partner, I have a wife, I have a soulmate, I have someone who is an extension of me. She's just like me, and I'm just like her in so many ways, if not every way. And we say the same things, do the same things, have the same thoughts, are on the same page until we're not. And when we're not on the same page, guess what? It's as simple as, hey, honey, oh, why do you feel that way? Okay, that makes sense. Well, this is the way I feel. What do you think about this? No, I think your idea is better, actually. Let's go with that. Compromise. It's not, oh, we don't never do what I want to do. It's just what I want to do might not make sense right now. Or what I want to do, her option might be better. Or what I want to do, we might try hers first. And if her doesn't work, then we'll go with mine. Doesn't mean that I'm stupid, I'm dumb, and I'm incapable. It just means that right now, this makes more sense for us. Not for me, for us. And I love that. Anything can be forgiven but his behavior. It was his choice to disagree how he conducted himself. My ex always disappeared. No, thank you. I cut someone off for his dynamic. I would have stayed, but he never committed to me. Communication on what was going on or when he would come back. So I felt like I was wasting energy. I get that. He stopped talking to me for 2 months and was upset when I asked about it. Like, he was mad I didn't accept him with open arms after he caused a huge disconnect. Oh, no, thank you. 2 months is outlandish behavior. Excuse me. Engaged for 2 months. It was rough. Learned a lesson. I hope he learned something. I get that. Why do people stay with people they love but can't get along with, like arguing all the time? I can only speak from personal experience. I can't speak for everybody, but I know from my personal experience when I was in unhealthy relationships, I felt like maybe we would agree. Maybe things would change. Maybe they would change. Not necessarily saying that I was perfect, not necessarily saying that I was doing everything right, but maybe they will be willing to have a conversation instead of argue. Maybe they will understand, like, they are right. And I think people took that into the wrong context when I used to say, like, you're right. It's not in the sense of saying, like, you're right, shut up, I don't want to talk to you no more. It's more so saying, like, the way you're feeling is correct. Like, the way you're feeling is right. You are 100% valid to feel that way. And the way I'm feeling is right. And I'm not trying to argue or debate who's right or who's wrong. I'm just trying to get you to understand why I feel the way I feel. And I'm just trying to understand why you feel the way you feel, right? And I had hopes that the person and the people that I was with who felt that way understood that dynamic. Because if we could get past that bridge, then now we're actually getting somewhere. But if we can't, then we don't make any progress. I know for me, I was hoping things would be different. I know for me, I thought arguing in a relationship on a consistent basis was normal. I thought that was just something people did in relationships till I got in a healthy one and realized that this is not something that is normal. It's just something that's normalized. There's a difference. It's something that happens so often in a lot of relationships where people be like, oh, these are things that's supposed to happen. Now realizing that these are things that don't have to happen. because a lot of people aren't in healthy enough relationships to be an anomaly who speaks up about the difference that it makes to communicate versus to argue, the difference it makes to discuss things rather than trying to prove why you're right or wrong. I know that for me, I seen my parents do. I seen the people around me argue. I just thought it was a normal thing to do. I didn't experience anything different in any other relationship, so I just thought it was something that I bring something to your attention or you bring something to my attention. We fight about it because we don't agree and we move on and we sweep it underneath the rug, or we come back and we argue about it again, or I just thought it was normal. I know for me that I thought I was so in love with the person that I could move past it. Maybe I don't bring it up again and it doesn't become a problem, so I suppress it even though I want to talk about it, but they're done talking about it, so I guess it's not a problem. If they're done, maybe I could be done too, and obviously you're never done if you still feel like you need to talk about it, because obviously it's still bothering you. But that's not something that I was aware of, because I just thought, just toughen up and deal with it. Like it's already said, done, it's over with. It's in the past, the past in the past, the famous line a lot of people tend to say. So I just left it at that. But I think majority of it was that I didn't know any different. And I can only assume that some other people feel like they don't know any different. Like, I'm not saying you're always going to agree. I'm not saying everything's going to be daisies and roses and relationships going to be perfect. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is that you don't have to argue. You just talk. You don't have to argue with anybody, let alone a partner. You don't have to argue with somebody on the street. You don't have to argue with your parents. You don't have to argue with nobody. You don't have to argue. We can agree to disagree. Even after we have a conversation, even after we communicate, even after we have a discussion, if you don't agree with my point of view, I'm not expecting you to. If I say the sky's purple, you say the sky's blue, and I'm asking your opinion on why you think the sky's blue, and you're asking my opinion why I think the sky's purple, we can have this whole conversation, this whole debate, and I can still feel the same way I feel, and you can still feel the same way you feel. We just agree to disagree, but we don't have to argue about it. I don't have to say, well, no, it's purple. You say, it's blue, and I say, it's purple, because we have two different perspectives. You can't tell me I'm wrong, and I can't tell you you're wrong, because we see things differently. We see life differently through our experiences, through our values, through our upbringings, through every single thing. So I can't tell you you're wrong or right, but I can understand why you feel the way you feel. And that doesn't require argument. It just requires communication. Communication, you're conveying information back and forth. You're having a discussion about it. You're talking about it. You're unpacking it. And that's the difference maker for a lot of relationships. Instead of fighting each other, say, well, I'm right. Well, remember when you did this? Well, remember when you did that? Remember, because you can both identify that you're hurt. You can both identify that the situation in your personal opinion hurts you a lot. I can't tell you, well, you shouldn't be that hurt. That shouldn't have hurt like that. You can't tell me, well, that wasn't that big of a deal, so you shouldn't make a big deal about it, because for me, it was a big deal. Maybe this was the first experience that I had like this, and this was big for me. Maybe you've had multiple experiences and you learn how to deal with it, so it's not that big for you. But you can't tell me that I'm wrong, and I can't tell you that you're wrong, but we can understand each other. We can understand each other's perspectives and opinions and understand, and we can agree to disagree, or we can agree and come to a compromise, a situation where you agree and I agree, and we work through this together, but we don't have to argue about it. And I just don't feel like arguing, in my personal opinion, is necessary in this situation. And even now, as a 31-year-old man, I don't argue with nobody. And a lot of people say, Ryan, you don't argue because you're such a calm soul and because you're just an easygoing person. Why do you think I'm calm and easygoing? Because I don't got to stress. If I don't like what you got to say, I can walk away. If I don't agree with it, I don't have to talk about it. If somebody like, well, I'm voting for this person for president, and if I don't agree with your perspective and your terms and you don't want to have a discussion about it, I'm not saying I'm trying to change your mind. I'm not saying I'm trying to change your perspective. I'm just trying to understand why you feel that way. That's it. I'm just trying to understand. Well, you should vote for him because of this, or you should vote for her because of this. I understand you feel strongly about it, but you don't have to attack me with it. I'm just trying to understand. But if I feel like a person's looking to argue because they feel like they need to change my mind because I don't agree with them, I just don't engage because I don't have to. I'm grown. I control me. I run me. And it's the same in a relationship. I don't have to engage if I feel like it's hostile. Now I could come to my partner and say, hey, Honey, I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're angry, and you are allowed to express your feelings and your emotions how you see fit. But is there any way possible you can talk to me about it? You don't have to yell because I hear you. I feel like you're only yelling because you feel like I don't understand you. And if you feel like I don't understand you, then please reiterate another way so the way I can understand you, but I am following you. If you need me to regurgitate what you just told me, I am more than willing to do that so you understand that we're on the same page, but you don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. I'm not saying not to be angry. I'm not saying not to be upset because you are allowed to feel the way that you feel. But in order for me to understand how you feel, I just need you to talk to me so that way I can continue to understand you and we can work through this. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. And a lot of people will take that, well, you can't tell me how to talk. You can't tell me how to express my feelings. Because they want to argue. They're looking for a fight. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just saying you don't have to because I hear you. Listen to what I'm saying. I feel like when words get misconstrued or where people are listening to respond instead of listening to understand, that's when the arguments begin. But like I said, if there were more discussions instead of arguments, a lot more relationships would be successful, in my personal opinion. We broke up at 8 months. Maybe there's hope to restart at some point, but I'll find out soon. Good luck to you. I hope you do. You're an amazing husband to your wife. Congratulations on the video about the period cycle. I appreciate that. My wife and I are very transparent about a lot of things in life and our relationship. And the reason being is because we want other people to understand that, like, we're not perfect. We're trying to figure this stuff out. It took me time to learn about periods and menstrual cycles, and I'm still learning. There's still times where I ask questions because I don't know. I don't experience periods. I don't experience menstrual cycles. I don't experience the birth. I don't experience any, like, as men, as a man, and men in general don't experience these things. So I ask questions, and I ask a lot of questions because I don't know. I asked my wife, why do you use this product over this product? Why does this one work better for you? Do other women use this product? From your experience with other women, how has this product worked for them? And if you weren't using this one, which other one would you use? What would be a close second? So if I went to the store for you and you told me to pick up some pads, and you told me to pick up the heavy duty ones because you get a heavy flow, but they didn't have those available, what would be a good second for you? Depend on the brand and depend on the size. So if they didn't have, so even if I went to 2 other brands, they didn't have the heavy flow ones, could I get you this type of pad and maybe a tampon? Would that work? Could you do a tampon and a pad? Is that possible? Like, I don't know. I don't have the body parts that women have, but I am curious. Just because it's not my body doesn't mean it's not my problem. It's not important for me to educate myself. Guess what? Not only do I have a wife, but I also have a daughter. I have a little girl. So when she comes to me and says, Dad, I'm bleeding, what do I do? Well, guess what? You're in the right place, baby girl. Let me go to the store. Let me go take care of you. I got you. A lot of men don't think that far ahead. They're like, oh, well, why do I need to know about feminine products? Why do I need to know about women? Why do I need to know about this? Well, do you plan on having kids one day as a man? Yeah, but I'm going to have a boy. What if you don't? What if you have a little girl? You need to learn how to braid hair. You need to learn how to paint fingernails. And you need to learn how to take care of a woman and of a little girl. What do you do then? A lot of men don't think that far ahead. They think, oh, it's the woman's job to take care of the kids. It's the woman's job to do this. Well, what if your woman's at work? Do you just not take care of your kids because the woman's at work? Do you not just do you wipe from front to back or from back to front? You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. Like, that makes a huge difference. Because if you wipe the wrong way too many times, you looking at a bigger problem. Where am I at? I'm so far behind on comments, y'all. I'm so sorry. Comments or questions. Pixie, thank you for the donation again. I appreciate it. I really hope my man and I could be independent and figure out life together like y'all did. It was trial and error. Trust me. We had an agreement. My wife and I had an agreement that we weren't going to move in until we were in the process of buying a house. So we didn't move in together until 3 years of being together. And then the fourth year being together, we got a house. But we definitely talked about a lot of these things up front. And then as variables change and finances changed and life changed, we continue to talk about it. It's not just we had this one conversation at the beginning and then we stick to that, because life throws curveballs. We can't consider and take into account all variables that might interfere or might change our direction or our course in life. So when they do, or we acknowledge that there's a change, we talk about it, we discuss it. Maybe our timeline is sped up because now maybe I came into more money or she got more money, or maybe our timeline is prolonged a little bit because maybe we got more money, but this money needs to go towards fixing up a car or fixing up or paying one of the kids' bills or something like that. Who knows? But it's still conversation, communication on a consistent basis. It's not just once a year. It's not just once a month. It's like every single day where we talk about life. We talk about all the variables, talk about all the things that are important. We might talk about money today and then we might talk about money tomorrow. It's not anything that I personally feel like that we can't talk about on a transparent basis, and not just because we were married. Like, we were talking about these things prior to marriage while we were together in a relationship. I believe what was mine, it was hers, and what was hers was mine, even prior to being married. Like, the way we navigated our relationship is the way we navigate marriage. The only difference is we have a difference in titles. That's it. But we knew what we was getting into. We knew what to expect when we got married. Nothing changed but the titles. Like, granted, we grow, we become different versions of ourselves. I'm not taking into account of that, but I'm saying the way we operate, the way we communicate, the way we talk, our transparency, our expectations, our standards, everything that we experience as boyfriend and girlfriend is the same thing we experience as husband and wife. And we know exactly what to expect, and that comfortability brings peace. Do you think relationships work with two different religions? In my personal opinion, I do not, let me preface this by saying that I do not associate with any religious group. I am not religious by any means, nor is my wife. I think we are more on the spiritual side of things, especially after taking a few mushroom trips. But from my personal experience, I have seen religions crash, just like I've seen like races clash. So like I've seen like a Christian and a Muslim. I've seen them not being able to be together because the Muslim family believed that that person should be with somebody who's Muslim, and that Christian family believed that that person should be with somebody who's Christian. So therefore, because of the weight of their families on their shoulders, they chose not to be in a relationship, even though they loved each other and cared for each other dearly. They were willing to look past each other's religion. But then it becomes the question, if they decide to have kids or a child, what religion does that child fall under? Muslim or Christian? I feel like that leads to more conversation, more complication, because you can't say, well, automatically, of course, Muslim or automatically, of course, Christian. You can't determine that, because that requires extensive conversation, because also you have to be considerate of the families and stuff like that to a certain extent. In this case, because they cared about their family so much and their family's opinions, which caused them not to be together at all because of the difference in religion. Not because this person was a bad person or because this person was a bad person, just because their religion. Same thing with race and ethnicity. Being a black person dating somebody who might be white, or dating somebody who might be Hispanic or something like that. The Hispanic family might want them to stick to Hispanic. The black family might want them to stick to black. And they get together. It's not because they're bad people that they had to break up. It's just because of the difference in culture and ethnicity and stuff like that that caused them to break up, because of the weight of their families or the opinions of other people, whatever the case is. So I feel like it can cause a rift. But when it comes to religion, because I don't understand, because of my ignorance when it comes to religion, because I don't practice a religion, I don't know how crucial that might be when it comes to having a relationship with somebody who has a difference in religion. Does that make sense? So I can see it being a problem, but I don't know how much of a problem that might be, if there is a problem, because I haven't had that experience. I hope that makes sense. Do you recommend relationship books? The book I will always recommend, not because it's the only book I've read relationship-wise, but it's the one that I found to have the most clarity, is Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson. I think it's Anderson. It's called Love and Respect. And I recommend that book so much, and for those of you who come to live often, you might have heard me recommend the book. The reason I say that is because I don't know if it's the first half or second half of the book, but half the book is split from a woman's perspective, half the book is split from a man's perspective. So if you're a woman, you're getting a man's perspective, and if you're a man, you're getting a woman's perspective, but also as a man, you're getting your perspective as a man, and as a woman, you're getting perspective as a woman. And I say that because a lot of times you'll be saying the same thing as your partner, but y'all be speaking two different languages. And that's why it leads to an argument, because you two are saying the same thing, are on the same page. It's just that you don't understand what this other person is saying necessarily. You don't know how to translate it. So therefore, it becomes a problem. It becomes an issue because you're perceiving that your partner doesn't care or they don't understand. Reality, they do. It's just that you don't know how to interpret that language as a woman, or vice versa as a man. And to give you an example of one of the examples they might have had in the book, they had an example in the book where a woman goes to a man and says, "Hey, honey, how was your day?" He goes, "Oh, it was good." And now she's like, "That's it? You don't care to talk? You don't want to elaborate? You're not interested? You don't want to tell me how you feel?" And that man's like, "Well, you didn't ask all that. You just asked how my day was." He answered the question. He's not wrong. He answered the question. He said his day was good. You asked him how his day was. He said good. To where if that man asked the woman how her day was, she might go, "Well, my day was good, and me and Cassie hung out after work, and we grabbed a salad, then we grabbed some coffee, then we went to Target afterwards, and then after that, I just decided to come home because I was so tired, and I had a rough day at work, but you know what it is, work is good and everything else." And he's like, whoa, I didn't ask you all that. I just asked how your day was. Now you're going on and on and on. Now we're having a conversation that I didn't ask for. Because all he's looking for is, was your day good? Was it bad? Was it happy? Was it sad? But the way a woman might communicate when it comes to such a simple question like that looks different from a man. And it even shows when a lot of women tend to text men and they ask a man a question in a text message and he responds with this, but a man asks that same question to a woman and she responds with this. It's not that the questions aren't being answered. They're just being answered differently, but to a woman, a man has to respond like this in order for him to be perceived that he cares. And a man is expecting a response like this. And if he responds like this, he's like, "Oh my God, like, oh, is she doing too much? Or she's nagging, she's doing," and it's not that. It's just the difference in communication. This is how it looks. But when you perceive it a certain way because you don't understand the language that the other sex or other gender is using, it becomes to a point where it's like, this person doesn't understand me, this person doesn't care, this person this person that, and that's not the case at all. So Love and Respect by Dr. Anderson or Emerson. Miss Priscilla, I've been doing good. How you doing? I know he's heard me because he says he's staying at home depressed, not want to talk to anybody. He said, "Man, I wish that could be recorded." I don't mind. I'll upload it to YouTube. The only thing is when I upload live to YouTube is that you all don't see the questions and the comments below. But you all will hear me talk, and you all will, it looks like I'm talking to myself on the screen, but I try my best to say the questions out loud and say the comments out loud and reply to those. But I'll upload it to YouTube so that way you all can play it back. My YouTube channel is in my bio if you click the link, but I got y'all. Pixie, thank you for the donation. Miss Priscilla, thank you for donation again. Yes, I want healthy so bad. Do you need to go potty? All right. Okay. Okay. Let me grab my phone. Hey, no Paul. I gotta take my horse outside. You got some energy now that you took a nap? Come on, girl. I might lose signal for a minute because my Wi-Fi is going to be readjusting, so just hang in there with me for a minute. Go ahead, girl. I guess we could play catch now, or fetch now. Catch now, or fetch now. Where'd you go? Oh, there you go. It's our horse. All right, you're done. You're done. I started that way. By the end of the relationship, I became just as toxic as him. I get that. It's not. What's crazy is it's not necessarily intentional. It's just the way you navigate the relationship for so long. You realize like you had to become a different person because you being yourself wasn't safe in that relationship. If you start toxic, love each other, and wanted to work, y'all will grow together. Yep. Because you want to be alone. After an argument, my husband told me if I'm not happy, why do I stay? And I told him we should part ways. Need to act like he hasn't heard me and continue to live as nothing happened. So are you going to stay in that relationship out of curiosity? Or that marriage, I should say. I appreciate your videos to change my perspective on relationships. I love that. I'm glad I could help. I went on 2 dates with a guy, but I was the one. Nico, how you doing? 2 days ago, I was someone to make the plans. Always never try to reach out. 6 months later, he blocked me. Was I the problem? I always feel like anytime somebody blocks you without any explanation or any clarification, that you can't assume that you're automatically the problem until they tell you that it's something you did or something you said, because it might just be them. It might be the lack of their communication. They feel like it's easier to just block you because things aren't working out and they don't want to put forth the effort to make it work out. It could be that they might be interested in something else and don't want to be honest and straightforward about that. It could be a number of things, but I wouldn't automatically assume that it's you and you're the problem and you're the issue, because that's not always the case. And therefore, you don't want to blame yourself for something that's not your fault. It could simply be them and their lack of communication skills. I gotta make sure I don't step and poop. I gotta go get this ball for this little baby dog. That's just my baby dog. What you got? You better not be over there eating poop. Little nasty ass. As if a disabled man can't drive and ask the woman that I'm trying to date to ask for a ride. I think if she understands your situation, I don't think it should be a problem for her driving, in my personal opinion anyway. But I'm also not the woman. Is it ableism? I don't think necessarily it's able. If she's willing to date you understanding that you have a disability that causes you to not be able to drive, I don't see it being ableism. I just see it that your disability isn't allowing you to be able to drive. And it's not that you don't want to spend time, it's just that you're unable to drive to her, and that's just the case. What do you got on your... Oh. My Christian-Muslim relationship just broke up for the exact reason. He couldn't handle it. He wanted me to get rid of my cat. I feel like it's only problematic when people make it and willing to make it work. I get that. Saying, how you doing? A lot of relationships, people treat me like I'm absolute crap. A lot of my relationships, that's unfortunate. I hate that's happening to you. People treating you like you crap. You deserve better. You shouldn't be treated like crap. It's crazy. It's only been 1 day, but already made me realize I want a life with this man. I'm telling you, being grown and having your own is so peaceful. I said we toxic, but I love my person, so we're going to figure it out. Hey, as long as y'all make it work. Are you done? Penny. Hi, girl. Hi, pretty girl. Are you done? Hey, pretty girl. Are you done? You done pottying or what? Nah, you got energy. Come here. Go chase this ball. You ain't about to go back in my house with all the energy. Dima, thanks for the follow. Should I act like nothing happened or talk to him about it? I think it depends on what direction you want the relationship to go in. Because if you are genuinely unhappy in your marriage, I'm at the point in my life where I'm 31 years old. And even though a lot of people say 31 is young, I refuse to waste any more time in my life for anybody or anything. And if something's not working out, whether if it's a career, no. I'll go get it. Yeah, I didn't realize your ball went all the way over there. Whether if it's a... I'll go get it. Yeah, I didn't realize your ball went all the way over there. Whether if it's a career, all the way over there. Whether if it's a career change or a relationship, friendly or intimate, whether if it's family, I refuse to waste time on situations that are no longer benefiting me or that are hindering my growth and my success. And I say that because even when it comes to a marriage, I refuse to stay in a marriage if I'm unhappy. I know a lot of people would say, well, you should stay in a marriage and make it work no matter what, or you should be ashamed of being divorced or whatever the case is. Me personally, it's my life to live. And people with opinions, they got their life to live. And I'm not going to sit here and care about what somebody else has to say about people with opinions, they got their life to live. And I'm not going to sit here and care about what somebody else has to say about what I should do and what I shouldn't do in my life. If it makes me happy, I'm going to do it. If it doesn't make me happy, I'm not going to do it. As long as I'm not harming myself and harming other people, I'm going to go live my life the way I want to go live my life. And no one can tell me any different. Did that go outside the fence? Dang it. Did she hop the fence? She did hop the fence. Come here, girl. Penny. Come here. Come here, girl. Penny. Come here. Hi. Penny. Hi, girl. Come on. Come on. You got some new smells. I know. Come on. Sorry, my dog hopped the fence. Come on. Come on. Girl. Come on, Penny. All done. Good girl. Good girl. Sorry about that. My dog. So we have a Great Dane and her ball on the other side of the fence. And I just thought she was always too lazy to jump. And sure enough, she proved to me that she would jump the fence. And we've only had the dog for about a week, so she's not really familiar with the area. And I don't know if she's gonna take off. So I'd rather have been safe than sorry and take her in the house because I'm not about to chase this dog, and if she run away, I'm gonna have to call somebody to go get her because I'm not running. So I had to take her back in the house real quick for the one time. But where was I? Oh, so when it comes to a marriage, I'm gonna get a divorce. Because I'm not gonna stay in an unhappy marriage. I got too much time, too much potential as a person to be loved by somebody who wants to love me. I'm not gonna beg, I'm not gonna plead. I'm gonna try my best to work it out. I'm gonna try my best to talk it out. I'm gonna try my best to work with the person that I'm with. And if they're not willing to do their part as a partner, they're not willing to show up in ways I need them to show up. If they're not willing to do the things that I need for them to do and want for them to do, and express how I can love them better and we can grow together and all the things, I don't want to be in that marriage any longer. And like I said before, I know people are going to have opinions about, well, you shouldn't get a divorce and you should stay and make it work regardless. And how can you throw away that many years? Me personally, the way I look at it, if we've been together for years and the relationship is getting worse, why would I stay in the relationship longer to continue to allow it to get worse? That doesn't make sense to me. Especially if we're genuinely making honest attempts to make the relationship better and it's just not getting better, it's just continuing to get worse and worse and worse. I'm not gonna stay where I'm not wanted. I'm not gonna stay where I'm not being loved. I'm not gonna stay where I'm not being cared for. I'm not gonna stay in a relationship when it's not working. So if you're asking my personal opinion, I'm not saying to leave. I'm not saying to stay. But what I am saying is that if you want to stay, find ways to navigate that relationship so where you feel loved and cared for, and he's also feeling loved and cared for, and your relationship feel like it's in a healthy place to where you both want to be in a marriage. And if you can't do that as a team, then it might be time to explore other options. And if one of those other options is to get a divorce, then that might be what it is. For some reason, it bothers me, some of my fam, that I've been single my whole life. I don't know why they're concerned. It's my life. I agree. It's interesting to me that some people, because I remember when I didn't have children, and some of my family was like, when you gonna have kids? When you gonna have kids? I'm like, you gonna pay for these kids? And they be like, no, but you should have kids already. Well, if you ain't gonna pay for these kids, I'm not gonna have no kids. Excuse me, just because you think I should have kids don't mean I'm about to sit here and pop them out. I got other things I want to accomplish in life. All right. I know I didn't give a warning as far as me getting off here, but I am going to get off here because I need to eat breakfast and I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Also, I need to get my dog's life together because she's in a thing. She needs to burn some energy because she's doing a little bit too much. So I am going to get off here. I'm going to try my best to be on tomorrow. So as I was saying, because I couldn't. You finished or you done? So as I was, somebody come get y'all dog. I'm gonna get off here and give my dog some attention so that way she can chill out for a little bit. But I am going to download this live and I'll upload it to YouTube before the day's out. Like I said before, you all won't see the comments or questions or anything appear on the screen. Like I'm just talking to myself, but hopefully the information that was in the live, it's helpful for people who are looking for the information, who want to hear it or play it back for their own personal use. But my YouTube is in the bio. Just click on the link. Also, my YouTube is at Delilah and Ryan. We are on Instagram as well. The Instagram is the same, at Delilah and Ryan. We have a shared Instagram account because it's just easier that way. Plus, she controls the Instagram, so because I'm not really good at Instagram, but that's neither here nor there. But I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for the conversation. I will catch you all tomorrow. Please have a good day and see ya.